For those of you that have been watching any of my recent videos, you can probably see that there's a slight difference in the graphics or the editing. I'm able to input a lot of information into the database that I'm using to track Ravens offensive snaps. I'm only tracking Ravens offensive snaps right now. I've got help from 2 or 3 people in my Patreon as well. So shout out to Frank, and a couple of other guys as well who are starting to help and learn the program. What it's allowing me to do is to be able to find plays quickly and put out content quickly. Somewhat less graphical interface, but I don't think that's necessarily what people are tuning in for anyway. But in any case, we're going to look at Marquise Brown, and we're going to look at plays from Week 7 on, primarily plays only when Lamar is at quarterback. I have omitted 2 games where Tyler Huntley was at quarterback and Marquise Brown had significant targets. I think there was one game where he had 14 targets, 10 catches for 50 yards. But so let's get some of this going. This is going to be a wheel concept. Week 7 against the Bengals, where he goes in motion, he's going to run the wheel. You're going to get a clear out route here by what I think is Duvernay running up the hash. And we know this is an incomplete pass up the sideline. Lamar likes to take shots downfield. To this point in the season, we're still primarily focused on throwing the ball deep, to the exclusion in some cases of underneath routes or checkdowns. Now, as we do get later in this video, you'll see some checkdowns, particularly from the Steelers game, the last game where Lamar really had, big impact in this regular season. And you can see that this ball, first of all, Marquise Brown is able to beat people deep. It's a cover 2 where this corner was, was sitting in the flats, not a hard corner, but he was sitting like off cover 2. And then if you have the flat, you have the wheel in that coverage. So Marquise Brown's running the wheel. You can see that it's not a poorly thrown football. It's maybe off by 2 yards, something like that. My contention is that Marquise Brown and the route combination, that there's a off-screen route here by Duvernay that I referenced earlier that didn't hold this safety enough. If you ask me, they needed to hold this safety some more, get him more pushed, laterally, through the top of the numbers, so that this route or this ball could be dropped into this window here, instead of where Lamar's trying to drop it, this window here, for whatever reason. That may be a little small of a target area that I just drew, but you get the idea. All right, next one against Minnesota. These are going to kind of skip around. I think they do go chronological by game, but these are going to kind of skip around. There's not going to be every target from every game. Bubble screen to the left, you can see that it's a 3rd and 15. I believe this is a 4th quarter drive, maybe overtime, but I know that it's late in the game. So I don't have it marked, designated as far as the quarter. But it's a 17-yard gain on a bubble screen. You're going to see Brown run this little bubble action here. One of the receivers, I think it's Prochet, is going to get out to block. And then Andrews is going to get out further to the hash to try to block as well. 17-yard gain to the left side. I believe there was a penalty 2 plays after this play. I could be wrong on my order there. Maybe the next play's out of order. But in any case, the screens were not effective against Miami with Marquise Brown. Certainly were against the Vikings. I had 3 plays against the Vikings that are considered screens to Marquise Brown where he hit for big yards. And he had a lot of impact on that overtime drive, culminating in the game-winning field goal by Tucker. So Brown had a huge impact. Obviously, his numbers went down once Lamar, went out, quote unquote. An RPO against the Vikings. You get this snag concept by Bateman here, running that. That's kind of like one of his patented routes when he gets motion to him. Brown out in the flats. Back's going to cross Lamar's face. No roll or anything with the secondary. Vikings appear to be in their base defense look with 3 inside linebackers, so 4-3. And they're not rolling anything, I guess, because they're worried about Ricard over here and us running the football off tackle. So in any case, we chew them up with the RPO to the weak side, the side of the back. You're going to get the end zone angle. And, I mean, this is perfect for Marquise Brown. It's not necessarily a screen, so don't call this one a screen. Now, look, I don't pretend that he's perfect at his body positioning and alignment on these RPOs when he's running out to the flats. To me, you've got to be catching the ball, and he does eventually catch the ball facing this way. Marquise Brown has a bad habit of turning the wrong way. I don't, from what I know of spread teams that I've been around, I don't want the guy catching the ball here with his back turned. I want him, and then turning to run. I want him, to be out here and then be able to catch the ball and moving forward. Now, he is catching the ball moving forward, so I'm being a little bit picky, but he had to turn his body to get repositioned to do so. It's a bad habit that I think Marquise Brown has. Other guys maybe that are more experienced with offensive stuff, because you guys know I'm a defensive guy if you've listened to the channel at all. So if you've got more experience in the spread system and you have a better sense of it than I do, then go right ahead and correct me in the comments section. No problem. This is RPO, so Freeman is going to be crossing Lamar's face, guard and tackle pulling, and you would typically be reading, this inside linebacker here with the motion by Marquise Brown. He goes over. So let's say Lamar is reading him. That should obviously be a keep read and then throwing it out into the flats. So good read by Lamar, obviously. Gets him out here at like a 20, or there it is at the top of the screen, 22-yard gain. I forgot the gain is right up here. 22-yard gain out into the flats to the wide side of the field. I don't think the Vikings did a good job there of handling the formation and the motion. Having said that, there is some conflict that's being built in. Let me get that off the screen. There's some conflict that's being built into this with the Ravens. So let's say that for whatever reason they wanted to sky this. So the safety wanted to sky down, corner roll back to cover three, this corner roll back to cover three, and then this safety, go take the middle of the field. That to me, what I think I know is that's old school sky. If you did that, then you're making yourself susceptible to the run back over here where Ricard is on this side, because the back is over here. You're putting yourself a man down to the strong side of the formation, quote unquote. It's 20 personnel, but Ricard is essentially playing tight end in here, even though he's lined up, off the line of scrimmage. So the other option would be, cloud coverage. So roll the corner up, and roll the safety over the top, with corner force. You could do that. And then that would allow this guy to go ahead and play the run. But then the problem is the angled hook or the snag route by Bateman. So we're still going to get something out of it. So I believe that certain formations, particularly with the RPO concept, did a nice job of putting the defense in conflict. In my opinion, the Vikings do not have a good option here with this concept and the running back cross and face, so long as we have a third guy here. And what I mean by third guy is one, two, three guys, a three-man surface, to the side where the running back will be running to. But in any case, we're talking about Marquise Brown, so let's move on. Final drive against the Vikings, I believe in overtime. If memory serves, a lot of football games went into overtime, so if I'm wrong there, my apologies. You got Andrews here, and he is running what essentially acts like a clear-out route to isolate this corner on Marquise Brown. Andrews kind of checks it up somewhere around here in the 24, and Brown's route is actually deeper than I have illustrated there. But I just was, I didn't have enough screen to show. He gets that corner turned around pretty good. I'll run it a couple times so you can see it. Corner has to baseball turn and then try to turn back to the sideline, and he's in trouble. He's beat from the end zone angle. See, it's a nice throw by Lamar, nice catch. Wish we could have gotten to see Lamar healthy all year, not just for Lamar's sake, not just for the haters' sake, and I really don't use that word haters. It probably didn't even sound smooth coming out of my mouth, but for Marquise Brown's sake. I think there had to be some frustration by him to see his targets and production go down once Lamar went out. Not faulting Huntley or Johnson, neither one of them, because I thought those guys played well and did some good things, but Marquise Brown definitely had a bigger impact when Lamar was on the field. All right, so in the slot here, Marquise Brown, bottom side, wide side of the field. It's going to be a slot screen, as you see on the data there. Hopefully you guys can see that well. If you can't see that well, let me know in the comments section, and I'll try to adapt and enlarge that as best I can. It's a weird program that I'm using. So anyway, it's a slot screen to Marquise Brown, and he's gonna come out here, and we get a good block on the edge. Only like a 6-yard gain. We get 2 good blocks on the edge. Excuse me. But they're kind of a man down because they got an inside linebacker in Chase. Now, he's running inside out, so that's kind of preventing Marquise Brown from turning and going back here. There again, Marquise Brown just doesn't look incredibly smooth to me on these balls. This is one of the better ones, if you ask me. There's wasted steps there, in my opinion. What I think I know of the bubble is you want to get back and then catch the ball moving forward. Now, that kind of gives away your intentions a little bit. You can't run, when you get this release that he does here, he could turn it into a wheel. You're not going to turn it into a wheel if you're stepping back and bubbling this way. But, there's different people who do it different ways out of the spread. My experience, what I've been around, what I've seen taught and be effective is the bubble should be run backwards a little bit with an open, and then his inside shoulder will be the one that's opening to the quarterback eventually. Marquise Brown tends to do it the other way. So let's move it to the next one. think we got 11 plays here. We're obviously heavy on the Vikings game. I think this is the same drive. 15, 16-yard gain out of Ace Gunn. You've got Tomlinson here and Ricard here. Usually they're going to chip and maybe release late. So maybe a 2-receiver route initially that turns into a 3 or 4-receiver route, depending on what the back does. Nice route by Marquise Brown. He's going to pull this corner all the way up to like the 34 and then put his foot in the ground. And it does sometimes take him more than one step, to get his feet back, coming back to the football. There is a little bit of inefficiency sometimes with how he finishes the top of the route and comes back, but he does come back to the football really well here. In fact, he comes back a long way from the 34, ends up back here, on the other side of the 40, and then turns it back upfield. Great play. I think this was 1st and 25. I got it labeled 1st and 20. Let's see. Ball's on the 49. Okay, so first down marker is the 29. So it was 1st and 20. My data's accurate there. But it was a big gain. You guys can tell me how you remember it, how you remember this drive. I thought Marquise Brown had 4 or 5 catches on this drive. I know I covered that in a film study video after that game was over, but that was on my old channel that, who knows what's happening with that right now. End zone angle here, you'll see how well Marquise Brown comes back to the football. I think it's a quarters type coverage from the Vikings where this DB is getting pushed off by Marquise Brown's vertical stem, comes back, turns back inside. Cool-ass little move, if you ask me. Guy can be really effective. All right, in motion again. Now we're in the pistol. So I thought that the Ravens were more effective when the back was on the side Marquise Brown was motioning toward. Hopefully I'm saying that well. So when the back was in, for me, this would be B-gun, the system that I know. This is pistol, where he's behind the quarterback. I like the action where he goes in motion, the back crosses face, and you're putting someone in conflict here with the RPO game. That's what I thought the Ravens did a nice job of this year. But anyway, I did talk about this in a Lamar Jackson video that I released earlier Friday afternoon, actually. You're going to get an under route by Andrews, and then Brown's going to run the wheel sit. You get the clear out route by Bateman, and I think Lamar is looking at this right now to see if he's going to be able to fit it in this window here. It's actually a little deeper than that. In this window here, and I think he eventually looks at this safety and recognizes, okay, I'm not going to be able to fit this in there, so let me go ahead and come back to Brown. Obviously, Andrews is wide open running the under, right? Coming right to left, and we'll see it on the end zone angle. But good job again of Marquise Brown coming back to the football, making the catch. Again, maybe a little inefficient with his feet, but it does the job. I mean, he's got so much speed that you can see what happens here to this defender. Once he does put his foot in the ground and is able to come back to the ball, that guy's actually got to put his hand on the ground to come back and stay with Marquise Brown. So he gets the job done, even though I contend that there's a little bit of inefficiency sometimes at the top of his route when he's running a comeback or a deep out, something like that. And you may have a different opinion about it, and that's fine with me. Good throw by Lamar from a somewhat clean pocket, even though maybe Andrews is open. All right, this one is probably a decision that Lamar would like to have back. A deep over route by Brown, who's here spot shadowed. Tomlinson is going to run to the hash here and be wide open. I think this happened twice in this game. Once for Tomlinson and once for maybe Andrews, I think. Well, Andrews I just showed you, but I'm talking about a third time, I guess. But in any case, Brown is running, over top of the second level defender. So that's how I was taught to refer to it as a deep over route. He's running over the top of the linebacker level, the second level of defenders here. So he's running over them, behind them. Lamar puts too much air on this ball, and even though Marquise Brown, sorry for the video resolution, Marquise Brown is trying to high point it, unable to make the catch. I'll tell you one thing, he's not ever pressed. He's not really ever jammed, running through routes. I'm not sure. I noticed it, all year. Marquise Brown's route tree must be, something that threatens people and makes them think, I don't want to go ahead and try to put hands on him. I don't mean like a press corner, because I know a couple of plays ago, like 3 plays ago, I did show you a Vikings play where the receiver was up on the line of scrimmage, but not necessarily in press man. You can see Tomlinson, wide open right there on the hash. And I'll try to show you a couple times Marquise Brown trying to catch the football. Where he would become next level would be making this catch. Now, that's a lot to ask. You got a DB breaking on it. Great timing by the DB. Great play. I think Lamar put too much air on the football, but I think he's trying to throw the ball over the top of this curl flat defender. So I'm not necessarily faulting Lamar there, but there is clearly too much air put on it. But where Marquise Brown, if he wanted to go to being elite, and I think he's close, would be catching balls like this. Contested catches, right? Not saying he doesn't catch any. He just didn't catch this one. Great play by that DB. Look, the Dolphins' defense was underrated. And maybe even myself in my film studies after the game underrated the misjudged, let me put it that way, the Dolphins' defense. Flores did a nice job, and the defensive guys there did a nice job. Do I still think the Ravens are the better football team and should win that game? Absolutely. Even on 4 days rest after a hellacious win over Miami where they ran like 100-some plays on offense. Video's almost done, so forgive the poor resolution again. Another bubble screen. This one's got Brown as the outside guy. If you can watch it, it looks like VHS stuff from the 80s. He gets 12 yards out of this. He gets 12 yards out of this to the right side. Still not a huge fan of the timing of it. I don't know about you. Doesn't look smooth. Doesn't look like something that the Ravens should make their living on. Sticks coverage by the Dolphins. Surprise, surprise. All these guys up on the line, 4, 5, 6 of them blitzing, usually 1 or 2 of them going to be dropping out to try to take away slants by inside slot receivers. We know by now that we should have attacked the backside out of a 3-by-1 formation, so we were set up to do it here. In any case, 12-yard gain to Marquise Brown. So he has the ability to catch these screens. You saw 3 examples of them here on this video that I've showed you. Hopefully you guys enjoy this content. I'm able to get out Ravens content a whole hell of a lot quicker now because I have things labeled. I can quickly go find things. By no means is this the definitive film study of Marquise Brown or any player. I'm going to be piecing them together. I want as many views as possible. I want more subscribers on the new channel. If the old channel ever does get deleted, then that's what I got to roll with as the new one. And so I want to try to put out as much content as possible. This program, this database is going to help me do so. So empty interception. First possession against the Steelers. Marquise Brown is here. I think he is open on this under route. I think he is wide open. And for some reason, Lamar is throwing the ball to Mark Andrews. Obviously, he's a trusted asset. But, come on. We're wide open there. There's got to be some awareness of the routes that are happening. Lamar probably did not know that this DB was blitzing off the edge, even though that's a common blitz against the Ravens in past situations. That's been used for 2 years now. Not just in the playoff loss to the Bills in 2021, but even in the regular season. That blitz off of Lamar's left side has been used multiple times. Clearly a bad decision by Lamar. This is a Marquise Brown video. I'm a huge Lamar fan, and he's a huge Lamar. Lamar is a huge Marquise Brown fan. So, that's tough. It's tough to handle that we're not throwing the football here. And really, to me, watching Marquise Brown run into the end zone. We're running into the end zone, if you ask me, on 3rd down, if we throw this football, and Marquise Brown's able to catch it here, and I think he's running into the end zone. First possession, that was a killer. First possession against the Steelers very easily could have set us up to run away from that football team because they were not real talented. And if you're a Steelers fan listening to the channel, I'm not trying to be insulting. I think you would recognize that the Steelers were not incredibly talented this year across the board. Deep in route. On, I think, the last drive of the game, the failed 2-point conversion, deep in route by Marquise Brown, up near the 50, clear out route by Duvernay. So, again, untouched. No one jams him. No one ever touches him. I don't know. Does that say that people don't respect him? That he's not, you don't have to jam him? You don't have to get hands on him? You don't have to redirect him? I don't know. Plus 90 catches this year, right? Touchdowns were down once Lamar went out. But there's a lot of film that shows that he's, going to do this every year in terms of 90-plus catches or 85-plus catches and more. I think we need more playmakers to be targeted, and then I think that will help Marquise Brown make bigger catches with slightly less targets. And hopefully I said that well, but I don't think he has to be targeted 10, 12, 14 times a game in order to have a big impact. I think in a balanced offensive system where multiple guys are being used, Marquise Brown can do these things. Lamar's looking over here to the left. Maybe he's looking somebody off. Not sure, but he's come back here to the right really quickly and then settles on the deep end. I think he was just trying to check and see that that clear out route actually did move people deeper and provide the depth. Look, it's 3rd and 15 there. Huge throw by Lamar. Huge catch by Marquise Brown, if you ask me. All right, back to first play. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I do have 16 other plays to Marquise Brown. You know, my question to you is what impact, well, I guess first of all, do you think he's going to be playing football, right? Depending on what you think about that rumor about him retiring early. What impact do you think he'll have in 2022 in a balanced offensive structure where we've got better offensive line play? Let's do it that way, all right? Let's limit it down to that. With better offensive line play and a balanced offensive structure where targets are spread more around, until you have to go to your go-to guys, which is obviously going to be Andrews and then to a lesser extent Brown and Bateman. What do you think his impact will be? Let me know what you think of the video, what you think of the graphical interface that I'm using now. It does allow me to get content out quicker. Maybe it's less attractive. And if you think so, then let me know in the comments section. Appreciate you guys' feedback and checking out the video.